Tiny PCs like this are incredibly convenient to move around. But the downside? They're usually very hard to upgrade, especially if you want to turn them into a gaming machine. But what if I told you, there's a tiny PC only about 1 liter in size that costs around $100, and you can upgrade almost everything inside just like a normal desktop? Yeah, sounds crazy, but it's true. Right here, I've got the Lenovo ThinkStation P320 Tiny, and this is actually one of the most upgradable mini PCs you can find. So in today's video, I'm going to spend a bit more money, push this little machine to its limits, and find out how far can a $100 tiny PC really go, and what games can it actually handle. Let's get started. Yeah, I managed to get this thing for a really low price, not including shipping, of course, and there are a few reasons why it was so cheap, which you're about to see. So, what do we get in the box? First off, nice. It actually comes with a 135-watt power adapter. That gives me a decent amount of headroom for upgrades, as long as I'm not trying to throw something ridiculous like an RTX 5090 in here. And here it is, the main character. The size is pretty similar to a Dell Micro 3060 that I worked on before, but what's inside is where things get interesting. This isn't some ancient system. It was released around 7 years ago, and honestly, it still feels pretty modern. The plastic film on the logo is even still untouched. Let me show you inside. Opening it is super simple. Just remove the screw on the back and slide the panel forward. And right away, you can see there are a lot of upgrade options. Although, something's missing. The seller didn't include a 2.5-inch SATA SSD bracket. But honestly, I don't really care. Because on the back, we've got 2 NVMe slots, which is way more interesting. And here's why I said this system has serious upgrade potential. It actually comes with a PCIe 3.0x8 slot, which means you can connect a dedicated GPU. And that's something you almost never see on a tiny system like this. One thing I actually love about these tiny systems is this little 1-watt speaker built inside. It's such a small detail, but it makes the whole system feel more complete. As for the specs, it currently comes with 8 GB of RAM and no storage at all. So yeah, we're definitely starting from a pretty bare-bones setup. Now, I'll be honest, the cooling solution here doesn't look great. The heatsink is just a lightweight aluminum block, and that's going to struggle with hotter CPU, so I'll probably have to stick with lower power chips to keep temperatures under control. But let's put that aside for a second and look at something more important, the socket. This system uses an Intel 6th/7th generation desktop socket, not some weak mobile chipset. And that's huge, because it means we actually have a real upgrade path, just like a normal desktop. So yeah, this tiny PC has a lot more potential than it looks. But before we upgrade anything, let's install a drive and see what it can actually do in its $100 stock form. And yeah, no surprises here. Inside, we've got a weak Pentium CPU, just 2 cores and 4 threads. Nothing impressive at all, other than the fact that it's power efficient. Let's start with Minecraft, and oh man, it's painfully slow. At first, the FPS couldn't even hit double digits, so I lowered the render distance, and yeah, that helped. During light movement, FPS can climb up to almost 100 FPS, but the moment new chunks start loading, or when I fly up and look down, it drops hard. So overall, at reasonable settings, it's technically playable. But that's the key word, playable. It's definitely not smooth or stable. Now let's move on to Counter-Strike 2, completely different story. The system struggles just to get into the game. Even after dropping the resolution all the way down to 720p, the FPS only sits around 20 FPS. And for a fast-paced shooter like CS2, that's basically unplayable. Your reaction time is everything in this game, and with performance like this, you're not winning anything. So yeah, unless you're extremely patient. Alright, we're not here to look at weak hardware, so it's time to take this thing to the next level. First up, the CPU. Clearly, 2 cores and 4 threads just isn't going to cut it. My goal is something with at least 4 cores, 8 threads, and boost clocks close to 4 GHz. At first, I considered the Intel Core i7-6700, but at around $40, it just didn't feel worth it for this build. So I kept searching. And then I found something even better for half the price, the Intel Xeon E 31240V6. This thing has 4 cores, 8 threads, and can boost up to 4.1 GHz. The reason it's so cheap? No integrated GPU, which means I have to add a dedicated graphics card. Now here's where things get interesting. You might notice this isn't a normal PCIe slot. It's actually a proprietary connector, so I had to buy a custom adapter for about $10. From there, I can connect a standard GPU, as long as it fits inside this tiny case. And yeah, Space is a huge limitation, so I had no choice but to go with a low-profile GPU. These things aren't cheap either, some of them cost more than the entire PC. But eventually I found a great option, the NVIDIA Quadro K1200. It comes with 4 GB of GDDR5, and I got it for around $30. At this price, it's honestly hard to beat. The only downside is that it's limited to PCIe 2.0, while modern cards are already at 5.0. Now to install it, I had to remove a few parts: the HDMI port, the rear bracket, and this front support bar. After that, the card fits in surprisingly well. I can even reinstall the rear bracket and everything lines up perfectly. And yes, I can still close the case normally. Alright, moment of truth. Let's power it on and see the performance difference. And oh no, something's wrong. The system won't boot. The fan spins for a second, and then everything just shuts off. After digging around for a while, I realized something pretty frustrating. This system doesn't support that CPU. I'm not entirely sure why, but if you know, let me know in the comments, but I'm not giving up yet. There's still one option left. I might try modding the BIOS to force support for this CPU. After doing some research, I realized something really important. This system actually can support Xeon CPU. It just needs a BIOS update. Alright, so I went to the official site and downloaded the latest BIOS. There's nothing too complicated about the process. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube, so I won't go too deep into that. Once the update was done, it was time to try again. I installed the Xeon and powered it on. And oh yeah, we've got a signal. I'm not gonna lie, I was really excited at this moment. And yes, the system correctly detects it as an Intel Xeon E31240V6. And in terms of performance, this thing is on a completely different level. It's easily many times faster than the old Pentium. Honestly, you can think of it as basically an Intel Core i7-7700, just without the integrated graphics. Alright, now it's time to test this setup with some modern games and see what it can really do. Let's start with Minecraft at 32 chunks. Right away, I can tell the system is hitting a slight bottleneck on the GPU, which makes sense, considering this card is over a decade old. Even though it's running at full load, it's only pulling about 11 watts, which is surprisingly low. But the GPU isn't the only issue here. Running on just 8 GB of RAM is also holding the system back. And luckily, there's still an empty RAM slot. So I went ahead and added another 8 GB stick. Now we're running 16 GB in dual channel. And just like that, performance improves noticeably. We're seeing an increase of around 20 to 30 frames per second, which is actually a pretty big jump for such a simple upgrade. Now, switching over to shaders in Minecraft? Yeah, it's not quite as impressive as I hoped. This GPU really starts to struggle under heavier graphical loads. The FPS drops down to around 20 FPS, which is definitely on the low side. Power draw also increases to about 23 watts, but thankfully with a 135 watt power supply, we're still well within safe limits. Now let's move on to CS2. At 1080p low settings, the results are actually much better. The FPS stays pretty stable around 80 frames per second, and during my gameplay, it consistently stays above 60 frames per second. Sure, it's not anything crazy, but it's definitely a solid, playable experience. And compared to how the system performed before the upgrade, this is a huge improvement in both performance and stability. Now let's move on to something much more demanding, Cyberpunk 2077. And yeah, this is where the GPU really starts to struggle. The detailed graphics are basically choking the system. I had to drop the resolution all the way down to 720p just to get around 30 frames per second. And honestly, that's not ideal for long gaming sessions. Now let's check the CPU performance with Fortnite. And I've got to say, this CPU is surprisingly solid. For around $20, it's honestly hard to beat. It consistently holds around 140 FPS, which is really impressive. But of course, there's still a downside. The cooling in this tiny system isn't great. Temperatures can climb up to around 70 degrees Celsius, which is pretty much the biggest weakness of these mini PCs. So yeah, with just about $100, I've managed to take this tiny PC to a whole new level. And if I had a bigger budget, I could definitely go for a more powerful low-profile GPU, which would boost performance even further. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and let me know what you think about this build down in the comments.